Putin dangles a deal: surrender Donbas, and he'll sign a written promise never to invade again. Trump calls it the fastest road to peace. Europe warns its capitulation, and Kyiv says it's a stab in the back. With NATO-style guarantees on the table, is this the end of war or just the start of surrender? A major shift emerged from the Alaska summit between President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin on August 15th. According to the New York Times, Putin presented Trump with a controversial peace plan that would require Ukraine to surrender the entire Donbas region in eastern Ukraine, including areas not currently under Russian control. In exchange, Russia would offer a written promise not to invade Ukraine or any European country again. Trump appeared to embrace this proposal, marking a dramatic reversal from his previous position. Before the meeting, Trump had threatened economic penalties if Putin didn't accept a ceasefire deal during their 3-hour conversation in Anchorage. However, after the summit concluded, Trump dropped both his ceasefire demand and sanctions threat entirely. European officials briefed on Trump's subsequent phone calls with allied leaders revealed the extent of this policy shift. Trump told them he believed a rapid peace deal could be negotiated if Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky agreed to withdraw from the rest of the Donbas region, even from territories Ukraine still controls. This represents a fundamental change from the strategy Trump had agreed to with European allies just days earlier. On his Truth Social platform, Trump publicly endorsed this new approach, writing,
"It was determined by all that the best way to end the horrific war between Russia and Ukraine is to go directly to a peace agreement, which would end the war, and not a mere ceasefire agreement, which oftentimes does not hold up."
Putin, speaking to Kremlin officials after returning to Moscow, described the Alaska visit as both useful and timely. The Russian president stated,
"I would like to note right away that the visit was timely and very useful. We talked about almost all areas of our cooperation, but first of all, of course, we talked about the possible settlement of the Ukrainian crisis on a fair basis. And of course, we had the opportunity, which we did, to talk about the genesis, causes of this crisis, and it is the elimination of these root causes that should be the basis for a settlement."
This territorial concession plan has met strong resistance from Ukraine and European allies, who view the unoccupied Donbas lands as strategically vital and mineral-rich. Ukrainian officials have consistently maintained that any final deal cannot involve permanently ceding sovereign Ukrainian territory, as this would violate the Ukrainian constitution. A senior Ukrainian official, speaking to the Financial Times, described Putin's territorial demands as a stab in the back, while another characterized Trump's apparent receptiveness to the proposal by saying,
"He just wants a quick deal."
Oleksandr Merezhko, chair of the Ukrainian Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee, called the summit outcome awful.
"It looks like Trump has aligned with Putin, and they both might be starting to force us to accept a peace treaty, which means, in reality, capitulation of Ukraine."
As territorial discussions dominated headlines, a separate diplomatic track focused on future security arrangements for Ukraine began taking shape. Multiple reports from Reuters and other outlets on August 16th indicated that Trump might offer Ukraine NATO-style security guarantees without actual alliance membership. Under this proposed framework, the United States and European allies would commit to defending Ukraine against future attacks, similar to NATO's Article 5 Mutual Defense Clause, which treats an attack on one member as an attack on all 32 members. However, Ukraine would not formally join the alliance, addressing one of Putin's long-standing objections to the conflict. An anonymous diplomatic source told AFP that Putin had reportedly agreed to such an arrangement, stating,
"As one of the security guarantees for Ukraine, the American side proposed a non-NATO Article 5 type guarantee, supposedly agreed with Putin. How this could work and why Putin would agree to it if he is categorically against NATO and obviously really effective guarantees of Ukraine's sovereignty.
German Chancellor Friedrich Merz provided crucial confirmation of American commitment to this security framework. Speaking to German broadcaster ZDF after being briefed by Trump on the Putin talks, Merz said,
"And now there are security guarantees on the table. In other words, the question of how to secure a lasting peace agreement with Russia. And the good news is that America is prepared to participate in such security guarantees and is not leaving it to the Europeans alone."
Merz also revealed that Trump planned to host Zelensky at the White House on Monday, with European leaders invited to participate.
Now there are to be further talks on Monday in Washington between President Trump and President Zelensky, followed as soon as possible by a trilateral meeting between the three presidents, Trump, Zelensky, and Putin, with the aim of reaching a quick agreement. If that works out, it's worth more than a ceasefire that could possibly last for weeks without further progress in political and diplomatic efforts.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen emphasized the importance of robust security arrangements, posting on social media that
strong security guarantees that protect Ukrainian and European vital security interests are essential.
this proposal builds on earlier suggestions from Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who advocated in March for granting Ukraine the same security guarantees as NATO members without official membership. The Nordic Baltic 8 nations responded swiftly to the Alaska summit developments with a joint statement on August 16th that firmly rejected territorial concessions and questioned Putin's trustworthiness. The regional bloc, consisting of Denmark, Estonia, Finland, Iceland, Latvia, Lithuania, Norway and Sweden, issued pointed criticism of any deal involving Ukrainian land transfers.
To achieve a just and lasting peace, the next step must be together with Ukraine. Only Ukraine can make decisions concerning its future. No decisions on Ukraine without Ukraine, and no decisions on Europe without Europe. Experience has shown that Putin cannot be trusted. Ultimately, it is Russia's responsibility to end its blatant violations of international law. Russia's aggression and imperialist ambitions are the root causes of this war.
These countries, many sharing borders with Russia, have emerged as among Europe's strongest advocates for robust Ukrainian security guarantees. This resistance from Nordic and Baltic allies reflects broader European concerns about Trump's apparent willingness to accommodate Putin's territorial demands. European leaders have consistently argued that rewarding Russian aggression with land concessions would encourage future invasions and undermine international law principles that have maintained European stability since World War II.